Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Women's Empowerment Series presented by WTRL. We are out on the French course of La Renée. A lot of climbing out there today. I'm Nathan Garrett, Dave Toll next to me, and we are going to be covering the A and the B category today. Dave, 4 races done, and we've got one more to go. The team competition, what seems to be what it is all about here with this series.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Nathan. When you look at it, there will be one rider popping champagne at the end of the series here. It has been, when I hear you say a climber's day, you have to be a very special kind of rider to look forward to racing on this course. There's no doubt about it. It does not suit everyone. That grade stays at over 8% for quite a while out there. So we definitely will separate the wheat from the chaff out here. It's funny, on paper, 23K, you think, how long could that be? Well, plan on an hour at a minimum, I would say. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bet our winning time just slips under 1 hour today, as we have some highly charged athletes. I'm going to throw it back to you because we're ready to hit out. It's a big day. It's going to be the 5th of 5 in the Champagne Series. Let's get it on.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right on in with the A category. And as we do see, it is the usual suspects. Keller from Evoke at the front. Speaking of Evoke, we definitely want to have a little bit of a chat about this situation here. Evoke Bike currently leading things out, 207 points, walking away with this one with across all of the zones throughout the day here, Dave. Turbo, I Race Like a Girl, that's your top 3. Really hotly contested at that second place, though, Dave.
It's really wide open, isn't it? There's 4 teams that could look to claim silver. You have to say, you're right, Nathan. Keller has been en fuego lately. She has another big win in the last week here. So that's unassailable, to tell you the truth. But this is going to be fantastic, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, you have to look at Keller again today. There's going to be some other riders to be talking about, but Nathan, in that A category, I can't wait to see how Turbo, I Race Like a Girl, 2020, and 2020 has added Antonina Reznikov and Kristen Kolchinski during the course of this series, and they will be actors out there today. There's no doubt about it. And Aeonian. I love this team, and they're in the hunt. That's going to be the team of Danielle Estrata and company. So we're locked and loaded. This is not a drill. This is going to be one of the best races that we've seen this year going on today. Nathan, it's a climber's delight. Only one. I expect our winner to be alone in a major way today. So we are going to be covering the B's, the C's, and the D's. For everybody, this wraps up the Champagne Series. Everyone is so stoked about the ZRL coming up. 700 teams are inscripted. We're ready to go out to Big Foothills just a little under a week from now for that first scratch race. There's just tremendous excitement, Nathan. This is going to be a good example of what we have to look forward to.
Definitely. Now, as they hit this first section, there's a little bit of climbing up front, but now it's going to calm right on down. They will head on toward the Queen of the Mountain climb as the kind of lower foothills of this race out here, and then onto the first half, or 3/4, I would say, of Mont Ventoux is what they're shooting for here. So white here now, it looks like, not white. I'm looking at a B category here as well. And let's go ahead and jump right over there, since I do have them on my screen at this point. Lieberman here, it looks like leading things out, as well as E. White from DTC Youth. Let's go ahead and throw on screen here, see if we recognize some of the names here across this category. We do see it is I Race Like a Girl leading things out in the B category at 174 points for that team. WTRL there was second. Then Team Fearless and Empower battling it out for 3rd and 4th. Revo and Herd there. Just also one. Actually, look at how close it is between 5th through 10th place there. Very, very close. The race at the top, though, I wonder if perhaps there might be a little bit of shuffling around throughout the day. Under 30 points, something may be able to happen depending on the day here.
Yeah, today's an interesting day because our directors at WTRL have added bonus points in. So you get 3 points for every rider that starts and finishes the day today. And then for all of your riders that finish all 5 days of racing that make up the Champagne Series, there's a 10-point bonus as well. So, Nathan, we could see some interesting changes on these leaderboards that would be based on participation, so quantity and quality coming into play. And that really does speak to investing in a series, right? I mean, there are riders that dabble, will show up for a race or two, but the big prize goes to those that make it through all 5 days of racing. It's been a really challenging. Nice to see Danny King out here. This is a really interesting group of riders. I mean, Mackenzie Yates, Becca Kingdom. There are some names that we're going to hear a lot more from, and Danny King is one of them. She's a monster, Nathan, as they come up on 5K to go. Again, we're with the Bs right now. We'll be going back and forth between the A's and the Bs. We'll have a nice look at this race finishing as well after we have the A women done and dusted. So there's going to be fireworks all over France today as we take a look. So, Nathan, let's talk tactics a little bit here. This is a course I would imagine that you would like quite a bit. This is a course for a rider that likes to suffer, but probably keeping your powder dry for the first half, at least the first, I'd say, 13K. Going to be pretty critical, isn't it? Don't want to waste any calories.
Yeah, there's no reason to really push the pace early on here. Just making sure that you're keeping steady with I mean, essentially, you're just warming up. I mean, for some insane suffering is what you're going for at this point, because this climb is so incredibly long. All the riders here are probably just looking for position, making sure that nobody's, really gets too much of a gap. But even if somebody gets 5-10 seconds, nobody's really going to care too much about it unless it's a serious hitter. Now, if Kristen Kolchinski goes off the front, knowing her FTP, okay, maybe a little bit, or Natalie Franco, if she goes off the front being a super lightweight power rider, be on the watch out for that. But unless you have something where one of the more serious climbers were making a move at this point, I don't think anybody's going to be caring too much, even if somebody gets 5 to 10 seconds, especially with a group like this. In this A category, it's going to come back pretty quickly with the way with the way the pack dynamics do work. Now, a little bit of a punch here now we're seeing from TFC Vixen here going off the front. Yeah, it's going to be McGinty, and then now a little bit of a counter I'm seeing there. I think that's going to be Team SC if we can get a good camera on this. Interesting to see with that little bit of a push.
I'm a little surprised, to tell you the truth. It's a dynamic moment here. Going to put a little pressure on. Now, I see Monnalie Keller there, that Canadian flag, as she moves up to cover this move. They're not going to play around with it at all. I think you made Jasmine During here. So 2020 is loaded with talent right now. Loaded for bear, as they say. We can talk about the strength of that team. Nathan, it's actually an interesting situation because Evoke has been phenomenal out here as far as dominating the series. But if you look at it as a one-day race today, it's going to be a complicated formula of trying to figure out how to beat this 2020 team. So you've got Courtney Nelson here, another really strong rider. Shayna Paulus is back. I heard Shayna just moved to Indianapolis there, where her partner's playing for the Indianapolis Colts in the NFL here. So she's been really, really flexible. That's one of the great things during COVID, is seeing Shayna's ability to stay fit and train and race. So nice to see her back in the mix. But Nathan, we have some real wild cards to watch, and today suits a strong rider that doesn't have a lot of team support, because it really comes down to whether you have it or not on La Reine. The queen, as they call this climb. It's an absolute beast. There's no doubt about it. I'm trying to keep myself calm, Nathan, because it's going to be as dynamic as it gets. Look at 2020 all over the front right now. Nice to see Liu, the WTRL rider, pushing the pace here. Always looking out for some new names now. But again, the monsters are here. Keller, Reznikov, Nelson, Paulus, Kolchinski, and another rider that's kind of, Helen McKay deserves a mention, although I don't know, Nathan, that the course suits her per se. McKay's known for her finishing kick. Today it's going to be all about watts per kilo.
It really is going to be all about watts per kilogram, as we do see Courtney Nelson now, 6.2 watts per kilogram. Kolchinski, her teammate, following it up with a feather power up very early on, as soon as they hit the climb here. And they are into an initial Queen of the Mountain, as we are going to see them wrap their way up this winding Queen of the Mountain. And then after that, they will be heading on over toward the official climb here. But now 2020 just completely taking over at the front now. 3 of their jerseys. Bacchus now makes her way to the front as well, as I think we might have an early split. They're going to try and get rid of as many as possible, I think, early on. Like, look at this. And I think some of the riders are saying there's a long race ahead of us, and they're just saying, I've got to go ride my tempo, and let's let the heads of state go ahead.
Boy, so Kolchinski, we've talked about over the last month. She has really risen to become one of the big stars in e-racing, joining the 2020 team. It's unheard of, Nathan, for a rider who has never raced. She's never held a USA cycling license, has never done a mass start road race on the road, is entirely Zwifted. We were talking last week about the fact that she has literally circumnavigated the globe on Zwift, over almost 50,000 kilometers. She's worn out 2 different smart trainers along the way to do that. It's absolutely insane. And now she's finding the sharp edge of the sword here. This team is clearly, look at this. We got a jailbreak going on right now. This reminds me of some good old-fashioned smash mouth bike racing going on right now from 2020. So let's see who. So Natalia Franco is the Colombian rider living in Tennessee now. She's got some real in real life experience that will pay off. Yeah, Nathan, I'm going to throw it back to you because this is a very interesting scenario. When's the last time we saw a team try to do this? They're demolishing this bike race right now.
Yeah, and it does look like 2020 have shown up to race out here today. They've shown up with a plan, it seems like, as well, with at least 3 of their riders completely committing to this initial climb. This is not the actual, it is the lower slopes. Now, they are going to finish this Queen of the Mountain and then head on over to Vaughan 2. They'll continue on with a left-hand turn after this. Kolchinsky now taking over at the front, but 3 riders, 2020, now 4 riders from 2020, actually, with Nelson Reznikov now making away with 5 riders, perhaps working together over the top of the climb. This could be a training effort here together. I mean, like essentially a 2020 training ride at the front here. Interesting enough to see. Keller now making away to the front as well. Go ahead, Dave. What's happening here?
I was going to say they must be getting ready for the WTRL team time trial on Thursday, because that's basically what we've got. So they've halved that group with this effort. So a concerted team ride going on right now. You're going to see 2020 popping all over the place. Let's start taking some inventory, Nathan, and look at so not only who's about to rejoin here, because it looks like Sophie Giovanni's going to be able to get back into the group for the Cryo RDT Rents. This bike race is hotting up right now. As a matter of fact, it's gone from sizzle to saute as we look at, let's see what's happening. It looks like Wendorf, a Sisu rider, is going to try to get back into the group. She might have a chance here. A little bit of a lull going on, Nathan. So this is now gone from what was a false flat up to 6% grade. It just gets steeper and steeper until you hang above 8% for the rest of the way to the top, as they're just now through 10 kilometers, almost the halfway point on distance, but really only about a quarter of the way into this race on time, as if we're keeping score on a time duration.
Yeah, interesting enough here, some of the riders that I would put into the category, Evoke here, as well as I Race Like a Girl. I think 2020 are trying to make something happen on the overall points, because if they put 5 in the top 5, if they take out the whole podium all the way down through 5th place, how many points could they get on the day is my question. They could really do some damage here and perhaps get not only on the podium. I'm not sure they can challenge Evoke. That's over 100 points here, but they're definitely looking to put Turbo and I think I Race Like a Girl on the back foot here.
Nathan, you start doing the math, right? How many riders does Evoke have out here today? Because every single finisher for 2020 is going to pick up 3 points. They've got at least 7 riders. I'm taking a look right now on Zwift Power. They've got Reznikov, Nelson, Kolchinsky, Paulus, 2 more here with During and Franco. And so that's 6 right there, and I'm going to go with 6. That's 18 points right there. Now, Evoke has at least 3. I see that Monali Keller, so Monali races for Wonder Women as well, but she has both teams listed, so that makes sense. Yeah, but Evoke has nowhere near those kind of numbers. Now, that's not enough, but what it is telling me is they could jump into second here on that points table when this one is done and dusted today. There's the former soccer player, the D1 Courtney Nelson. She's a diverse skill set to bring to the team. Look at this now, Nathan. They are splitting this group all over the place now. They're stacking up the watts like cordwood on the front. Courtney Nelson came very motivated today. I know that with Kolchinsky joining the team, that they've got riders that they're bringing up to speed. Reznikov joining also just a few weeks ago. So it's really an interesting time for 2020, and they are playing some cards right now. Wow, Nathan, it is a slugfest out there. 2020 just throwing body blow after body blow here. Courtney Nelson, phenomenal ride.
Yeah, amazing ride here coming from Courtney Nelson, and obviously 2020 coming with a plan. Pretty cool to see. I do think that this is really warming up for some bigger things here. This is a huge series, but I think that it just shows the commitment is what I'm trying to get at here of what this team is up to in the esports world. And I'm just doing a little bit of math here real quickly in the background, and I'm adding things up. If they take the top 5, that's 80 points, plus 10 points bonus awarded if they do all 5 stages. And I think a lot of these ladies have done 5 stages. If I multiply that times Let's go ahead and put 5.
That is
10 times
incredible.
550 points, 130 points is on the table right now for 2020. If they go top 5 and they've completed all 5 and they get the bonus here. Now, Evoke will get something as well, but they've only got Monty Keller, it looks like here. Maybe one other rider a little ways further back. And if Monty Keller doesn't hang on with these riders, this could be, I mean, there is a reality here. If they get these points, something could happen here for the overall.
This is unbelievable. So you're right. When you look at it now, the difference could come down to Monty Keller getting 3rd or 5th. That might be enough to tip the table here. Unbelievable. That's why. Oh, so this makes it even more exciting now, because what 2020 is doing would be one of the greatest upsets, because, Nathan, I'll be honest with you, I figured it was mathematically impossible for them to overhaul that massive lead that Evoke has. It was 207 total points for Evoke, all the way back to it's 100-ish points back to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They're all clustered within about 6 points of each other. But 2020, with the numbers, the experience, what they're doing now, I mean, let's talk to the race. They're right coming up on 10K to go, 10K of significant climbing. They've got Reznikov, who was absolutely outstanding the last time we were on La Reine. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, Nathan, it's been a while, but I think she put a couple minutes on the 2nd place finisher that day. That was one of the more, I would say, exceptional rides that we've seen from the Israeli triathlete, one of the riders who really emerged as a huge talent in this esports platform on Zwift a few months ago. So Reznikov moving over to 2020. Kolchinsky moving on to that team. Courtney Nelson was already a cornerstone of that squad. She's the one that lit the fuse. And now let's see what Reznikov is going to do. So Israel vis-a-vis the Ukraine, no the needed there. And this has been one of the best riders, and this is where she's had success in the past, Nathan. So certainly, who is going to be the queen at La Reine today? It certainly could be Reznikov.
Yeah, and real quickly, I just want to highlight that Franco needs to hang on here or have a second wind as she pulls through and tries to get as many points as possible, because the reality is that Keller is walking away with those front groups. So there also is the reality here a little ways back with Jasmine During needs to get back on terms, hopefully catch a second win and try and make her way back into the front pack or into that top 5 situation. The only way that this happens, I believe, is if all 5 of them sweep the podium. So I'm not positive that they're going to be able, but they are going to have a significant jump, and I think they will be taking down the 2nd place overall in the team standings, as long as they as long as they all stay consistent throughout here, especially with the top 3 that are at the front here. Lieberman, ATP, we're looking at here. Franco, though, trying to get back on terms. We see her. I think that Franco's going to have maybe a second win to push on through. Backus is going to hang on to her wheel, it looks like. Kessler, though, falling off, not going to be able to hang out, it looks like, with those top squads. That this is going to be your top 5, but Reznikov says, nope, I'm just going to go ride my own race. I'm out of here. And actually, this is a great time to bring in a chat here from Anna Russell, who is a triathlete coming out of Australia, saying, oh, this is brutal. Suits the triathlete, sustained power effort. And she's right spot on with Antonina Reznikov being that exact kind of athlete. Solid FTP.
Yeah, well put. And Anna would know, was a world-class triathlete herself coming out of New Zealand, and world-class Zwift caster. So, Nathan, right now, I'm honestly going to be very interested in how this chase is going to be led, because rule number 1 in bike racing, when you start as a Cat 5, they always tell you, I think the first thing you learn is about how not to crash. Don't overlap your wheel. Next thing they tell you is don't chase down a teammate. Well, right now, then, this is Antonina Reznikov. She is holding on to an advantage of, we'll call it, getting close to 10 seconds as she makes her way around that switchback. And we're going to see then Catherine Curie. There you go. That's your wild card. That's going to be a big part of the conversation. The 2008 U.S. National Road Champion, one of the best American climbers. She's in that group with the Mara Abbotts and Connie Carpenters of just insanely talented climbers. So, again, remember that she's made
Keller going 8 watts per kilogram here. An attack actually from the group to go across the Reznikov. So Madeline Keller showing us that she has not given up the ghost just as yet. Going across the Reznikov. What a heart here on this girl. She is killing it and showing 2020. I don't care if you got the numbers in people on bodies on the course. I've got the numbers in watts. I'm going to shut this down here. You can't play games with me. I love it. But at 186 beats per minute, will she be able to hang on or will she suffer for that attack, Dave?
You know what? My money's on Monali Keller, to tell you the truth, to do what she needs to do. This woman is fierce. She has the heart of a honey badger, not a lion. So the racer out of Seattle. That now, when you talk about Keller, she had a big win a week ago. But one thing is, Nathan, she's one of the most consistent riders, multi-talented as well. So she's going to get up to Reznikov, and this is the difference maker, no doubt about it. If Evo does win the overall series, the Champagne Series, 5 races, tons of points, it's going to be this ride right here, right now, that we're witnessing. I love what we're seeing from Monali Keller. She's taking on the entire 2020 team, and she's isolated it down to one rider, Reznikov. And so is there a chink in Reznikov's armor? Absolutely. I mean, if Monali Keller can ride up onto her wheel here, I think the advantage has to go to Keller at this point.
185 beats per minute, looking for that wheel still. We do see it come down to 184, 183, so it does look like she is recovering just a little bit. I think there's going to be another little bit of a surge to try and get back to the wheel, but Reznikov continues on 5.4. Look at the gap that opened up immediately here. We're out to 20 seconds like it was. I mean, that happened in a lightning flash so quickly here as Keller just went across to Reznikov. Now, you see how much these gradients matter as they get into that 8, 9, 10% as we go through these switchbacks, how quickly you can just put a nail in a coffin for a rider here. Catherine Curry trying to hold on to Kolchinski, the new pickup, as well as Reznikov here, also the new pickup for 2020 here. These two talents really showing what they're worth out here on Zwift. Now, Catherine Curry, can she hold on? Nelson here trying to follow the wheel, it looks like as well. Third in this group, but 5th on the course here. Nelson now falling off. It looks like it's going to be Kolchinski looking to maybe try and break this group, but not chase her teammate down, just keeping things steady. As you were saying earlier, Dave, you don't want to necessarily bring another rider across. It looks like it's every rider for themselves at this point as things really start to open up. And we look ahead here, Reznikov already opening up again, as I believe Keller going backwards after trying to make that gap.
Yeah, if you're giving any kind of a draft to opposition, then you're not doing your teammate a favor. But if you can get clean air behind you that Kolchinski has right now, you're free to fly. So let's see how this plays now. So again, let's look at this. It's going to be Reznikov, your leader, Monali Keller, making her way up. So the Canadian rider trying to join the Israeli athlete. Then you've got Kolchinski racing out of Sag Harbor, out of Long Island, New York. Then you go to Northern California to find Catherine Curry, where she lives right there in Palo Alto. And then Courtney Nelson, again, of the 2020 team, puts 3 riders up in the top 5 for 2020. Hey, how about this ride from Lieberman today? Fantastic job. And then you mentioned how important Franco was. She's another pivotal rider here, Nathan. You can see Franco has got Meredith Kessler right behind her. So Charlotte Backus has been caught and passed by Meredith Kessler now. So there is a little movement going on back in. And I see that Lenny Ramsey's up there in our top 10 right now as well. So this is really a who's who of the climbers on the esports platform that we love so much. This is one of the best Zwift races I've seen all year. And again, Reznikov and Keller locking horns on the front, Nathan. Kolchinski is right there. If the Reznikov has any kind of trouble, Kolchinski's ready to pounce.
Yeah, and it's the reality of going too hard too early and who's got the long haul of the effort here really is going to matter. You know, up front, you have your excited racers. They try and make it, see what I can hold on to up front. But really, you get 5 minutes into a climb like this, and the reality starts to set in. And some of the riders, I believe, they're going to start working their way back through, start picking off from their rhythm. Here, just get into their own race. Kessler, I think, is a great example of this. Being a pro triathlete, she may be able to start picking off some riders. We see her starting to bump into that 5.5, 5.3. Some riders start to get into the rhythm later on into an effort like this. Suddenly they start finding those extra watts. So we'll see what Kessler can pull off here. Backus going backwards, while some of these other riders that maybe held on and had a little bit more patience might start to make their way forward here through the group. Ramsey, another rider I've been watching out for. 4 or 5 here coming from draft here. I mean, F. Hall, Frisk, they could all make their way back into a top 10 or even fight for a podium if anybody blows up ahead and tried to go too hard to try and follow riders like Kolchinski, Keller, or Reznikov. We see Franco here maybe suffering a little bit, going backwards a little. So as Kessler tries to chase her down. So things are going to get interesting as we make our way through the halfway on this mountain.
Nathan, you made a great point there about finding your rhythm, right? You would have found it by now. Now, if you're a punchy climber, if you hear them say that a lot, she's a punchy climber, it suits a punchy climber, this is not your course. This is nothing about punchy climber. This is about that ability to go into the pain cave and just settle in and find, as Nathan said, your rhythm. And that rhythm is not pleasant. It's a deep, dark place of suffering that you're going to go in, but that's what these endurance athletes, look at this, it's kicking up to 9-10% to get over an 8% average, and that's what you're looking at really for nearly the last 10K of this climb. And again, so let's start identifying the real heroes of the day. We'll start with, it looks like Nathan's got Meredith Kessler there. Is that going to be Natalia Franco? It is Franco that we're looking at right now. That's a cool perspective as we climb with the Colombian wonder. I'm a big fan of this rider who's just going to get better and better. Young and motivated is Natalia Franco. So let's watch out for the 2020 rider to see who she can pick off. It looks like she's got Lieberman in her sights. Really good example, Nathan, of that carrot being dangled out in front of you there. Great job producing.
Yeah, we do see Lieberman. They've been holding on to this 4-second gap or so for quite a while. It looks like Franco just trying to keep her within her sights. You can see her matching the watts per kilogram, trying to go even a little bit over. You see that 5 watts per kilogram, 5 watts per kilogram, where Lieberman holding on at 4.5, 4.8. And you start getting into this like knife's edge of what can I do? And if you go over it, next thing you know, you feel that cut. You start having to back off below what you need to hold. And just the reality sets in of just a stronger rider maybe trying to chase you down. You see Franco, 5.0, seems to be her comfort spot here around that 183. Well, maybe not comfort, but, what she can hold for the duration here. While Lieberman more at a 4.5, 4.8. And this might just be the reality that slowly Franco's just going to chip away at this lead. Now, Reznikov, though, looking ahead here, 102 up from those riders we're looking at. And still Keller, not out of sight, not out of mind, pushing 5.3. There's still hope here. And I've been in this situation before. There's a reality of these situations where when they're still within your sight, you still can see that you're starting to match. You start thinking, can I get some good feelings, some good sensations in the body here in a little bit? Maybe I'll be able to up it by half a watt per kilogram. Maybe Reznikov will fade to a half a watt per kilogram less. And you starting to match these numbers and play this game of what can I pull off here? 20 seconds, it's a big gap, but it's not over yet.
Yeah, one of the problems if you're not Antonina Reznikov is she's done this before. She's well within herself. This is not a rider, Nathan, that looks like she's struggling, and there's no reason to anticipate that she is. So what that then puts the impetus and burden on the chaser to make an exceptional ride, and that's where you run into danger on a course like this, is when you start overextending yourself, going too hard. It was all going good until it wasn't, right? It is easy to blow up on a climb like this. We used to have this race in Colorado, the USA Pro Challenge, that one thing we learned is you can't race athletes over 9,000 feet of elevation because no one will attack anymore because it's way too dangerous, right? You really do. When you blow up, you don't come good again for 5 minutes. Same thing here on La Reine. When you do, no altitude, obviously, but the thing that happens is if you go too hard trying to chase her, you lose that second place and fall back to 8th. You don't just fall back to 3rd, right? All the wheels come off. And right now, Monali Keller has a tremendous amount of responsibility here. Is really this ride that she has, Nathan. I wish that Martin, the mastermind at WTRL, is probably the only person that could possibly on the fly calculate with the points. When you look at all of the different factors here, 3 points for every finisher today, that's going to be 18 points right there for 2020. The riders that finish all 5 races in the series getting 10 points. We know that Reznikov has, Kolchinski has, I believe Courtney Nelson has. So that's 3 riders of the 6, Nathan, that will get you 30 points right there. So now that means that Monali Keller, who's not on 2020, she's on Evoke, that had a huge lead coming in. Every point that she gets might be the difference maker here. So her holding on to second is maybe even more important than getting the outright win on the day.
Yeah, and we might be able to bring in Martin, actually, Carew here, the WTRL director.
I'm curious,
and get a little bit of insight here from him. Martin, I believe he's with us here in the background. He sits in, just so you guys know. Not only does he do all the work in the background for everything, but he also sits in with the broadcast to make sure that Nathan and Dave get all the information correct.
He's amazing.
Right? He is
Absolutely amazing guy. Yep.
Martin, so have you crunched some numbers? I did see a couple of chat coming on through, but where are things at currently here?
So at the moment, obviously, liking having a bit of fun with the series in terms of the points, but we wanted to reward committed and strong teams. Hence why the final event, there are if a team got first to fifth, they would walk away with 130 points. So they could close that gap down on the Evoc or EvoQ, however it's pronounced. But certainly with Keller sitting where she is, that's keeping Evoc nicely in the front at the minute.
So there was a possibility, but with Keller here, she's really putting some work in, it sounds like, for the team. And if she's able to hold on to this second place, which looks like Catherine Curry even chasing her down there, even Kolchinski, but if she stays within that top five with where she's currently placed in, she's really doing some work here for Evoque now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Martin.
I know she certainly is, and so the competition's certainly hotting up. And these girls are unlike myself, who sits down in a lowly C category. I would certainly coming up here would be running out of steam pretty quick, but I'm pretty sure these girls will be fiercely fighting this all the way to the top.
100%. Well, we're about halfway there, Martin. Thanks a lot for the information there, Martin. It looks like we've got a race on our hands as Keller needs to finish things up here. Talk to you soon.
Reznikov hanging in there, Nathan, just at 5 watts per kilo right now, as 23 kilometers was the total distance of racing here, with all of the climbing packed into the back end of this race. And you can see it's been hovering right at 9-10% for quite a while. Reznikov continuing to work. We're going to jump in with Monali Keller now. Again, this is the resistance. This is the last rider able to stand up against the 2020 armada that we've witnessed out here today. She's having a great ride, Nathan. No doubt about it. Just Reznikov is that good. 30 seconds the advantage now for Reznikov.
But I definitely want to highlight how evenly matched this really is. 30 seconds over this kind of a distance at this point. This 34, we're talking, what are we in, 20-ish minutes of climbing done so far? 20 minutes of climbing, 30 seconds at this point. I mean, yes, it is probably a full quarter of a watt per kilogram or something like that. I mean, Reznikov is a level above at this point showing that, but it's not huge. It's not insane. That's very close in percentage. And Catherine Curry, only 14 seconds. I raced like a girl, still in this to take down Keller even and try and grab that second place. Maybe even getting a burst of speed toward the end here. You never know what could happen. Reznikov, though, like you said, very experienced, probably not going to fade, probably not going to blow up. I think the race here for second, third, and fourth place with Kolchinski right on the wheel here. The new pickup from 2020 wanting to show that she's got some merit.
Well, absolutely. And that's the thing. You race too hard trying to catch a ghost and you get caught from behind by a hound. And we are right now looking at a very strong Kristen Kolchinski. So I have a strong feeling she's going to find the top 3 today. This is maybe the most interesting battle that you have on Zwift. A rider who has never raced on the road in her life versus a U.S. road champion. And here they are locking horns now. This battle for third is going to be interesting. And they're only sitting about 16 seconds behind Monali Keller. So, Nathan, again, let's set the table here as we make our way into the finale with Antonina Reznikov is our solo leader of the 2020 team, being chased by Monali Keller. A valiant effort from Keller out here today. And then you've got Curie, Kolchinski, Nelson, Lieberman, Franco, Backus, Kostom, and Kessler. That's the riders that are all chasing. Now, everybody in their own world are hurt out here, but I got to say, Kolchinski is going to make this catch, and the battle for the final spot on today's podium is becoming more and more interesting. Look at Kolchinski pouring it on here now, as she is absolutely flogging herself like a rented mule out there.
Yeah, this is a great battle that we're seeing here for third place and even for second as Keller starts to get a little bit nervous. I think the Evoque rider now only seeing 16 seconds still within sight there. And these two might start working together a little bit with these efforts. You know, the drafting isn't great, but you see that effort ahead of you. It pushes you on when you're in this much suffering here. So now Curry here, 3.1 watts per kilogram quickly, just for a second, grabbing that wheel and then getting back on terms, it looks like here, as Kolchinski now is going to be the leader to try and pull this group up to Monali Keller. So very great to see. Now, real quickly, I do want to give a shout out to everybody over in chat. We are seeing you. Thanks a lot for everybody jumping on in. We are live on Facebook, Twitch, as well as YouTube. Jim Payton, always a long-time viewer, always saying hello at the beginning of the broadcast. Good to see you. He's cheering on Team TFC, it looks like. We also got Kenneth Hill coming on in, giving some information about what the situation is out here for the Queen of the Mountain banner and when the real suffering begins. Benson NG letting us know that 2020 is the favorite there, as well as Marsha Wardle coming on and saying, dang, these gals are killing it. We love all the chat that's coming through, so really appreciate all of you. Keep it coming. We always like to highlight those that are in chat. Let us know who your favorites are as well, as we do see also another little bit of chatter coming through from Jennifer Price cheering on Lieberman from Team ATP. So loving it. Keep it coming, and we'll keep your comments coming on through as we push through the rest of this climb.
Look at this acceleration here. Kolchinsky is not messing around. Catherine Curie here is going to, again, have
They're
a
closing it
really
down, Dave.
interesting battle. Well, yeah, and that's the benefit of racing against someone there, is that they're both working hard, and they're going to be, I mean, you could almost see them now behind Monali Keller sitting in second as she continues to chase Reznikov. And you're right, Nathan. Look at that. It's come under 40 now. It went up to almost 50. So she is starting to whittle away here.
Yeah, we do see, and you do see the consistency here of Kolchinsky, 5.0, steady 4.8, 5.0, 4.8 to 5.0. Catherine Curie trying to respond, getting a little bit of a 1 second gap. We see her having, and now Curie though, look at the heart rate. And this is interesting to see. I wonder if Curie is just holding on to a wheel here and playing it kind of smart, perhaps. I'm going to double check here. Catherine Curie, she may be trying to, use Kolchinsky as best as she possibly can for a launch pad, perhaps, across to Keller and try and grab at that second place here. As I do see that heart rate, 156, unless she tends to beat low. That may be the reality here, that she just tends to beat a little bit lower. I do see max heart rate go up in the 190s before from her, so...
Yeah, I mean, Kolchinsky's a different kind of athlete, no doubt about it, but she's put multiple gaps into into Curie here. Curie, I would not say, is using her right now. I think that she's having trouble holding onto this wheel, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it does keep on going out over and over again, and that definitely, with that 6 watts per kilogram kick a little bit there and then backing off and up again and backing off, it might just be one of those moments where you're just trying to find the energy to hang on and keep that speed as high as possible. And you just keep on doing little bursts to do what you can just to hang on over and over again. That may be what's happening here. Now to 19 seconds. Keller, I think, as she hit this 11% gradient, is a section where the time does tend to go out pretty quickly. We'll see if Kolchinsky does use this 13% gradient coming up here to try and close some things down in just a moment. As we do see 13 kilometers per hour, 14 kilometers per hour. So I think Keller now getting a little bit of extra win.
Last time that we were on this course, it was 2 minutes that Reznikov had as an advantage to the next best rider. She has a stronger field that she's facing here today and a very motivated Monali Keller, but I'm anticipating it goes up over a minute because Reznikov is just throwing more coal on the fire right now, Nathan. She's getting stronger and stronger. But Keller also responds, a big surge coming from Keller here. So again, it's just back and forth out there. But Reznikov, Keller, Kolchinsky, and Curie, that Kolchinsky-Curie battle for the third spot on the podium here today is going to be very interesting because Curie now looks like she's starting to pour it on. So maybe you were right. Maybe she's going to try to hit the dump button and get rid of Kolchinsky here. But I don't know. That's going to be really interesting to watch now. So this is what we're talking about. Kolchinsky in the blue, the new rider on the 2020 team, and then the legend Catherine Curie here. And these two, Nathan, at 18.5K in, so about 4.5K of this left. That's, 15 plus minutes of racing remaining here. It's going to be a long time for these two to be having at it out there.
Now, I just really want to quickly jump on over to the B category because we have quite the race playing out actually here. In the B category, we've got what looks to be a 3-woman group at the front. It's going to be Liz Lieberman, Mackenzie Yates, and Evie White. I believe all together here. Is that going to be right? Or Claire? Do we also have our Claire here? Not on Zwift. I'm not sure if this rider's actually registered on Zwift Power, though, as I'm not seeing her in the live results currently. So a little ways back, on that. Evie White's on a 22-second gap here, trying to hold off Lithgow here from Team Fearless. So 3 riders, though, up here. Yates, as we do see Mackenzie Yates here racing for I Race Like a Girl, and then as well as Liz Lieberman there also racing for I Race Like a Girl. So good to see those two working together in the B category to try and take down this top spot. Now, if we do take a quick little look here at the current team standings, this is going to be them solidifying themselves at the top for that team at 174 points currently. WTRL, who I did get a little bit of a message actually, newly in-game kit actually. We'll see if we can find them out on course, as I do believe we have Cook here a little ways back here in the new kit. A little shout out here as we'll bring that across. But good to see the new kit here coming on through as Cook here. But they're, I think, going to be fading backwards here in this B category and maybe even losing a spot there if Team Fearless have anybody up front. I do know Danny King, we said earlier, is here, but I'm not sure Fearless have enough riders, though, toward the front end of this race to try and make something. Lithgow, definitely Team Fearless. Anybody else, though, here that's going to grab enough points? I don't believe so. It is 30 points, though. Fearless can find a couple of spots, but I think there's only one rider there that's going to be able to do any damage. So I do believe it is still going to be WTRL holding on to that second place regardless. I Race Like a Girl, though, really going to make an extension on their lead at 174 points currently.
Yeah, you have to give credit here, much like 2020, right? Putting on a clinic out there today as I Race Like a Girl, Liz Lieberman-Shoup and Mackenzie Yates. Well, that's the class of the field. Got to give Evie White and Joey Lithgow credit. They're in the fight here today, and Chantel Coetzer, Andy Smith, Ariel Verhaeren. Nice work out there. So, Nathan, they're at just coming up on 17K in. 3 riders together now on the front. It's going to be interesting how this one sorts out. Who wants it more between Yates, Claire, and Lieberman-Shoup?
Yeah, and we are
14 seconds back to Lithgow. Sorry there.
Yeah, Lithgow not too far back at all, actually. So she may be able to get back on terms here, Team Fearless, and grab that third spot on the podium. But Lithgow here at 2.7 watts per kilogram, I think, is fading at this point.
Yeah, it's going the wrong direction.
Exactly. Now, Sisu, they are actually platinum leaguers in the WTRL team time trial. And so they very, very strong FTPs, I believe, steady efforts on these ladies here. Now, we do see Claire here now from RCS Racing. Not on Zwift Power, though, so maybe not a threat. They maybe allow our Claire to just get away here, but maybe if she does register on Zwift Power pretty quickly, might not be something that they want to do.
In the next 10 minutes.
Yeah, in the next 10 minutes or so. So Yates and Shoup, I think they're going to be following things as closely as they possibly can in order to grab those podiums for the I Race Like a Girl team. So that's the current situation in the B category. Let's jump back on over and see how things. Reznikov, as we jump back into the A's, 121 up now from Curry here. Almost a full minute to Keller. So Reznikov not slowing down. I mean, what a steady effort here from this champion.
And that's what I was talking about, right? I mean, she's done this before. Not enough has changed that it makes you think she can't do it again, and I believe she could do it again. So right now, Antonina Reznikov is having her cake and eating it too on this climb, because when you talk about what is 1 minute and 21 seconds, it's actually not that much distance. You're really only talking something like 400 or 500 meters, but it's a lifetime when you look at trying to close down that gap on a rider who's showing no signs of fading. There's no Achilles heel right now on Reznikov, that's for sure. Nathan, another command performance here. She's still got 3K left to do out here, and it's certainly not over, that's for sure. But I think we're going to have a ding-dong battle going on out there. Not for second. I think Monali Keller's in pretty good shape there. But Kolchinsky and Curie, this is like Ali and Frazier, right? I mean, you got 2 very different riders. One thing they're similar in is age, but their experience is completely different. Experience, motivation, heart, fitness. There's so many factors here, Nathan. You know them all. But I think we've got the recipe for what's going to be one heck of a race for third place out there today. So we'll watch that as Reznikov continues to put on a clinic in climbing.
Yeah, I'm trying to get an idea if they're still within sight here. Even from the helicopter view at 35 seconds, though, I think Keller has put distance. And I believe Kolchinsky and Curry, they've kind of started to just look at each other at this point. I thought maybe with 36 seconds, they might be able to start thinking about something there. But I think, like you said, Keller has put enough distance here at 37 seconds. It's a big gap to close down. So here it is. This is the battle for third place here. Curry, Kolchinsky. They keep trading spots here. Maybe just a little bit of blow here, a little bit of jab there. Every time a rider comes on through and takes a pull, you wonder how hard are they going to go? Is it going to be that little bit much more that I can't handle? You start asking questions about what is my steady effort here. And Kolchinsky now right to that wheel. And that little bit that you have to do to come around a rider, it's a lot, actually. There's a whole lot there. The other rider needs to almost back off for you to take over here. Now, Kolchinsky, look at how smart she's playing this here. 3.6, then the 5, 3.6, then the 5. She's just trying to rest up as much as she can, it looks like. 174 beats per minute here. I'm not sure what her max is.
There you go. There goes Kolchinsky right now. That's it.
Right.
Yep. And so, but Curie's going to be able to respond. But I'm telling you what, Nathan, we are watching Kristen Kolchinsky get smarter right in front of our eyes. I mean, like, the learning curve for this rider is the steepest I've ever seen. So, but you're right. Curie's strong enough that she's not going to let that go. This is it. I mean, again, it's just body blow after body blow between these two. We might not be winning now. Curie trying to counterattack over the top of Kolchinsky, and Kolchinsky responds. Nathan, this is bike racing at its very best out here right now. We got Curie and Kolchinsky in mortal combat here on La Reine, the queen. This climb is bringing out the best, and Curie's going to pour it on. And will this be enough? Can she break Kolchinsky? No. Kolchinsky will not. So they say that pressure makes diamonds. Kolchinsky is a diamond. She's back. Nathan, what a race we're witnessing. I absolutely love it.
I'm waiting for the little background noise finisher move as you give me they're locked in Mortal Kombat here right now. And we're seeing Catherine Curry here trying to make that finisher. Not happening. She's still on the front. 5.1 watts per kilogram. Kolchinsky, she's got a gap here at this point. Will Kolchinsky be able to respond? 156 beats per minute consistently now.
Look at her
now
comeback.
Kolchinsky here comes right on back. 173 now we're seeing 211, 209, 222. Back and forth. That little bit of undulations back and forth in the watts per kilogram. But now it's really going to be about those 5 to 5.5, maybe even 6 watts per kilogram kick. Where will the attack come through? We're going to go through these redwoods here for just a minute, for just a moment. There'll be a left-hand turn and then a little bit of a right-hand turn right into that finish line in a little bit here. And I have a feeling we're going to start seeing the fireworks here. The gloves are going to come off soon. They're not going to keep on just looking at each other unless they're just full on at their limit. But I think they're waiting for a little bit of something here.
One of my favorite things to watch in pro cycling, Nathan, is getting two athletes into something that neither one of them would call their forte, right? So if we have these two sprinting for third place, can you imagine how fun that is going to be to watch? Because if you asked Kristen Kolchinsky or Catherine Curie, what percentage of your body is a sprinter, they would both say 0 or 1%. Like, I am not a sprinter. I'm a climber. I'm a watts per kilo type rider. So these two very likely could be going to the line together. As they say, neither one of these two would say they could sprint their way out of a wet paper bag, right?
Yeah, it's a really good point, Dave. I'm looking at their punch, and the punch on Zwift Power gives you a really good idea of where they stand. Catherine Curry is in the 38th percentile. And Kristen Kolchinsky 49th percentile on sprint, right? So like you're completely right. We've seen them lose many more sprints than we've seen them win if it came down to the line.
Right.
But we've seen them walk away time and time again when it comes to these kinds of efforts. So they're essentially, playing their cards that they have right now, and saying, well, we're both really good climbers. It might just come down to who can suffer the most in the final 200 meters.
But I mean, can you imagine now put yourself in either rider's perspective. Obviously, Catherine Curie, she's won races like the Gila Monster. She knows how you drop riders on climbs. She's well-versed in that. That's her MO. She has tried now, Nathan, I'm going to say 5 times to drop Kolchinsky here, and it hasn't even come close to working. Right? So at this point now you realize this chick is undroppable. It's like gum on the bottom of your shoe. I can't get rid of it. And now you go ahead.
Yes, we have a great comment coming from one of our Twitch viewers, actually. And Catherine Curry, I believe, just beats low on a heart rate. That's a great question. And I'm looking through her averages here, and I think according to Zwift Power, there were a couple of off heart rate monitor readings. Sometimes the heart rate monitor just goes nuts. And she had 194, but that was only out of like what seemed to be 244 entries. And most of the time in all of her racing, it looks like her max is right around that 162, 164 range. And so she's actually right at threshold around this area. Because if your max, my max is like 192, 193 or something, and my threshold is like 174, 175. So she's got,
Right.
up to 20 beats to work with if she's over threshold even at this point. So it's a great question.
Well,
Curry, I think,
is.
just beats a little low.
Here goes
Got a big
Kocinski.
heart.
No,
She's got a big heart, Dave.
Well, I was going to say she's got a heart like a giant squid that lives at the bottom of the ocean. It only beats every, when she's sleeping, it beats every four times a minute. Kolchinsky is like a chihuahua. Her heart just runs at 150 when she's on the couch. When she's racing right now, I bet you, it's going to be up there in the 190s here with this. But Kolchinsky is now again. She attacks.
Kicked in the 7.
The danger is this.
7. Yeah.
Yeah, but she can't. Oh, man, I am really surprised. I thought that Curie was going to counterattack. It looks like Kolchinsky is going to throw more coal on the fire here and is starting to open a gap. Here comes Curie. I think Curie might be trying to use her experience, but just can't come around. These two are absolutely at their limit, Nathan. You don't find bike racers going any deeper than what we're witnessing, and that wasn't for the win, folks. This is your leader right now with a little over 1K to go, Antonina Reznikov. Nathan, you forget that those two aren't racing for the win. It's so exciting for third, but this is your gold standard right now. The Israeli athlete Antonina Reznikov riding away with it here. As you look at the gap, it's really stabilized. Monelique Keller will always be my hero. She's kept it under 1 minute out here today, and it's keeping the flag up for the Evoke team. We'll see if it's enough when they've sorted out all of the points at WTRL headquarters, if that's going to be enough for Evoke to win, because this is a team-based competition when you talk about the 5-race Champagne Series. But I think that Dom Perignon is on ice for Reznikov right now, Nathan.
Yeah, not a long way to go. It's going to be a lot of little turns and weave and bob in here for just a moment, and then it's going to be just in front of her in just a moment here. They're going to see the finish line. So very cool little section of the course, actually. I really like this section. Well, I don't know if I really like it as far as, this is the final push to the line here, but this
is the beginning of the
little
end.
bit. You can get some speed going, then you have this last little kick to the finish line here as we do see Antonina Reznikov with 52 seconds. Keller's kept it underneath that minute, though. Good on her to keep that steady effort all the way through. But she's got a couple of chasing her at this point, so there's a lot of motivation as we do see Reznikov here making her way to the line.
Yeah, you can see, Nathan, it's gone to a minute there almost from Keller back to Curie and Kolchinsky. I think these two, Curie and Kolchinsky, have started racing each other, no longer worried about bringing Keller back. So they're in their own private Idaho, if you will, fighting for third. Nelson sitting in fifth right now. Rachel Lieberman hanging on in sixth. Franco's still there. Backus, Kostin. And let's take a look then again at Reznikov. She's going to start, Nathan, hearing the crowd and the PA announcer up at the finish line here as we've got 23K listed for today. It'll be very, very close to that. But at the end of the day here now at 11% grade, showing no signs of faltering, she's on a virtual victory lap now.
Yeah, what a pickup by 2020 here. This talent identification, amazing. It just happened in this last month here on the Zwift platform. Reznikov was dominating the WTRL Gravel Series just a few weeks back and ended up getting this contract with 2020 and now showing that fully worth the merit here as we head into the Zwift Racing League next week. Taking down the Women's Empowerment Series now will be at least this win here individually here and on this final stage. Now, will not be taking the overall, though, as I believe Evoke are going to hold on because of Monelique Keller's effort there. But 2020 showing that in this final race, they've really started to get their cards together here, really started to get their tactics together, and I think they're going to be showing up with a very strong team in this first season of the Zwift Racing League starting next week.
Yeah, here we go. The run into the finish right now for our champion, Antonina Reznikov. I would have to say the most consistent, outstanding rider during the Champagne Series. So 2020 with a brilliant pickup. congratulations to Nikki Cranmer for continuing to push forward here. No one has made more out of this COVID era and working with the team, finding new riders like Reznikov and Kolchinsky. Job well done to Nikki Cranmer, that's for sure. I'd say my hero of the day is Monali Keller, Nathan. However, if I had to give a gold star out, it goes to Monali, the Canadian rider who lives in Seattle, who clearly has I would have to say single-handedly. I hate to not give anyone else credit, but I'm not seeing any other Evoque riders scoring points here today. And if they do hold on to the team title, which this is what it's all about with our Women's Empowerment Series, Mona Lee deserves a pat on the back.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that 100% there. Monali Keller definitely, even after having the monsters of, 2020 to battle against, as we do see Reznikov crossing the line, taking down the win out here today in this final in the Champagne Series for Women's Empowerment. Now, Monali Keller here, over a minute now. So Keller with a 6.5 kick here. Now 8.3. She's giving us a little bit of a show as she makes her way to the line, crossing not very long after.
That was not a minute.
No, that was a pretty close little bit of a gap there.
I'm going to say we're down to about 30 seconds there when that one is done and dusted. We'll take a look in the finish, but Monali, tremendous job.
This is it though here, Dave.
Yeah, this is going to be so good, Nathan. So I don't want to step on you here. This is going to be as fun as it gets. This is like watching
Nelson.
Go ahead.
Whoa, 12 seconds. They're playing games and Nelson's coming on. Courtney Nelson. I saw it in chat here. I don't think she can do it. There's just not enough landscape. It's a great it would have been an amazing story here if she could do it. Now, Corey, though, fading a little bit. Kolchinsky wanted to give it a kick. No, they're going to have just too much landscape here. Nelson almost made it happen, but there's Catherine.
Well, there goes Curie. Curie launches.
Further power up. 9 watts per kilogram. Kolchinsky, I think, just not enough in the tank, and it will be Catherine Curry, it looks like, across the line. Wow. What a kick for third place, and what a battle between these two athletes.
You got served is what they say in the legal world, right? When they hand you papers. Well, right there, Kolchinsky got served by Catherine Curie with that feather power up. That was some nice gameplay there. It's a game too. Always remember that. But Kolchinsky will have her day. This rider with a bullet is one of the brightest stars on the esports Zwift platform as we bring Courtney Nelson home. Nathan, you're right. Boy, did she show some heart there. Never giving an inch. That's the name of the game. Courtney Nelson, job well done for 5th today.
Yeah, 13 seconds. I mean, what an effort there. Only 13 seconds finally
Not
across
bad
the
at
line.
all.
Not bad at all.
And that puts, 3 2020s in the top 5, I believe. That's very, very impressive.
Yeah, it definitely is. Amazing effort there from 2020. They obviously showed up on the day to race here. Now we're back in, though, with the front end of the race here. And look what happened with the B category. Shoop was right there. And now it's just Claire and Yates. I mean, there was obviously a serious attack that came from our Claire from RCS Racing now. And completely... How did Lieberman end up so far back? I mean, this must have been a serious attack, and Yates really barely hanging on at 180 beats per minute here. So Claire showing that very strong rider out of Canada, as you can see, in the MGCC kit here now. And Yates here just trying to hold on at 4.8 watts per kilogram right now. But Claire looking to try and take down this final stage. Not in and amongst our Zwift Power, though. So interesting enough to see.
So, Nathan, let me explain that, and you tell me if I go wrong, okay? Because clearly, and I get it, you're the expert. But really, what we're saying here is not that there's no issue other than Claire has not verified with Zwift Power, so we don't know exactly what's happening here. So, not saying it's a fake, but we just can't confirm it. So it's sort of that trust but verify that we use. So Yates, however, has the Sisu Do rider. So that's why if you're looking on Zwift Power, you're not seeing Claire's name. Am I basically right there?
What it comes down to is she has not connected her Zwift account with Zwift Power. There's an extra step you need to take for racing with Zwift Power. And ZwiftPower.com is where all the community racers organize the races. We see a little bit of an arrow power up here coming from Yates to try and get back across. She may be able to do so. But in the world of Zwift racing, the community racers use a website called ZwiftPower.com in order to organize the races and then take all of of that information and get your results and all that stuff, and that's where we get all of our results and stuff. So an organization like WTRL, who put together the Empowerment Series, they utilize zwiftpower.com in order to verify the results. Because Claire is not registered, she'll get the in game, right? Like she shows up and
Right.
in game, she will have a result in game. But with the race organizers, it'd be kind of like if you showed up at a local crit and jumped into the race without registering and you just finished first. Well, you feel good because you finished first. And let's say nobody saw you, nobody stopped you, and you went across the line.
Right.
You're like, I got a result, but you went to the organizer and they're like, well, you didn't register or pay your fee or whatever it might be.
Have a
It'd be like,
license.
right. Exactly. So you just
Yeah.
end up not being in the official results. You still came across the line first amongst the people you raced with. So, but I mean, it's
That's a
not taking
really
away
good
from this
analogy.
effort. Not taking anything
Yeah.
away from this effort at all. 188 beats per minute, 4.2. It looks like she might even be an A racer, and she's killing it. And it's great to have new racers who she might see this broadcast and be like, I want to get involved in this. I'm going to, register, and she's going to be on the Zwift Racing League. I mean, this is an athlete that obviously somebody in the B category wants to pick up for the ZRL starting next week. So Claire, next
Heck
thing you know, is
yeah.
going to get some messages. So
Absolutely. And yeah, well put, Nathan. And I would encourage her to go ahead and make that connection. And yeah, we'll see what we have out there for a lot of great racing coming up with the ZRL. There's never been a better time than to get involved. That's for sure. So they're down to under 2K of racing here on La Reine as well as we pick up the B finale here. We also have the C's and D's racing, and I wish that we could do every race. I really do, Nathan, but in quality doesn't really allow us to jump around that much. So we'll cover the A's and the B's here today. And we do have a nice bit of time to spend with the B women as they finish up here on what is one of the most challenging climbs in the virtual world.
yeah, and we do have a couple I do want to just shout out quickly as well. Giovanni from Sophie Giovanni, as well as Jasmine During coming across the line right now. We also have F. Hall in the A category from Draft. Wonder Women here with Grobler, as well as Frisk and Paulus, all coming in, I believe, in the top 15 to 20. So still the top 20 riders in the A category making their way to the line, and it's been an absolute sufferfest as there aren't very many groups together at this point as well in the A category. So obviously this is essentially started out as a group effort to the line, but has turned into solo TTs of absolute suffering out here today.
Yeah, nothing like a course like this to separate riders. Yeah, I don't know that there's anything larger than a 2-rider group, which is pretty hard to call a group out there on course at this point. And that's what they call separating the wheat from the chaff. That's for sure. As we go back up and pick up Yates here, the CISO Do rider. Nathan, as you mentioned, they've always been very strong in our Thursdays team time trial, our WTRL. That's my favorite day of the week, what happens there. And it sounds like we're going to have huge numbers again this Thursday. So look forward to seeing a lot of you out there racing. I know for a tremendous number of folks, that team time trial has really become their jam.
Yeah, we're on to number 77 this
Wow.
week, so it's going to be absolutely amazing. Also, a big little shout out. We mentioned a lot about WTRL, the Team Time Trial, as well as the Zwift Racing League on the Zwiftcast. We recorded early this morning at 1 a.m. this morning. We did a record with Simon Schofield and GP Lama. Had a lot to cover, and it was a special because we had the Minterview, that they like to call it, interview with the CEO of Zwift, Eric Min, that Simon did an interview. You listen to snippets of the interview with Eric Min with very specific questions for a little bit of an unveiling behind the curtain, what's going on with the longer plan, the bigger plans around Zwift. And we had a lot of chat about that. It was very, very interesting. And I saw a lot of questions on the Facebook group around that already coming up from the Zwiftcast. And it was one of the questions I saw, well, do you guys feel better after that discussion? And this once in a while after the interview, I'm like, I kind of scratched my head. This time I'm kind of like, they're definitely very, very excited. That's what I'm going to say. Very excited about the things that are to come. Very encouraged, very excited. We discussed the latest round of funding. We discussed as well as some of the new board members because of those rounds of funding that might start to bring new life and energy to certain parts of the development as well as what the aims are with Zwift. So very cool to see and to listen to. Definitely go check that out as it was a great Zwift cast for sure.
You know what? I'm not kidding, Nathan. That Zwiftcast is in my top 3 favorites for sure. I can't wait to listen to the new one. As a matter of fact, now I know what I'm going to be doing when I ride later today. Thank you. So, all right, a little over 1K to go as we take a look now, Nathan. So, Claire is going to get this one done. It looks like Yates and Lieberman Shoop continuing to push on here. The gaps are opening up. You can see, I mean, it goes almost to 5 minutes when you look past 10th place out here. So, this was a big ride out here today, and absolutely a rider that I'll be watching for in the future, RCS Racing.
Yeah, I mean, definitely want to see how this ends up playing out for this rider, Claire, out of Canada, as she's got 30 seconds on Yates, 3.7 watts per kilogram consistently here. Maybe more in the B category at the top
I
end
would
of the
agree.
B category. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this is a good place for her to be.
Yeah, I mean, we were seeing Reznikov at this point was putting up 5.1 watts per kilo still, right?
Yeah.
You think about that.
Yeah, as the winner of the A category. So definitely, I think Claire well within the means here of the B category and a solid ride coming from her. The American here, Mackenzie Yates, CCY Race Like a Girl. Always good to see. This is one of the favorite teams for sure. Out in the WTRL Platinum League, solid efforts last week as well as last week took a 3rd place. So this is going to better her 3rd place. This is her second place though. It looks like it's maybe her first place actually. As we do jump around a little bit here for a moment, I believe. But solid effort here coming from. It looks like Mackenzie Yates as we look to try and find her back out on course. We do have Lawson though here from Aonia, and she's gonna help us out to get back on to the race now as we're jumping around a little bit here. But back in here with Yates as she's. I think this is gonna be her first win. This is gonna be her first win out here in the Empowerment Series.
I'm looking at her profile here on Zwift Power. It looks like a cyclocross racer, maybe where her passion lies. And I can appreciate that. Cyclocross is so much fun. I certainly, my heart goes out to everybody who's watching that season just disappear in front of our eyes. Let's give her a big shout out here. Mackenzie Yates, outstanding ride for Sisu Du today. This is how you do it on Lorraine. Make yourself into a queen. You did it, Mackenzie. Great job.
And then Liz Lieberman as well. She's going to be a little ways behind from the same team. So they did a good 1-2 job here, taking down the rest of the field. Worked well together, it looks like. This is a rider, though, a little bit newer. We said this a couple weeks back as well. Did the WTRL Team Time Trial Zone 7 back on September 24th. And then this race last week, she won in stage 4. So going to be taken down though by her teammate, but that's it. That and then WTRL Team Time Trial last week in the Platinum League. So newer racer and great to see her out here. Immediately dominating toward the top end of this B category. Great pickup here for Sisu.
We're going to hear a lot more about Liz. That's for sure. Liz Lieberman Shoop here going to see the finish line pretty quickly. But Nathan, that's why I love covering the Bs, because that's where the future stars are hanging out right now, honing their craft, sharpening their sword, if you will, as it looks like we're going to jump back in with Yates right now. Mackenzie Yates here. So just way under half a K to go.
Yeah,
it's
and
not
we're
quite
about to
as
see
steep as...
This is deceiving, this section, this final 500 meters, because you don't see the finish line. And you want nothing but to see. And then even when you get there, you're still at 7 or 8% gradient. When you get to 200, you ever been on a climb like this and you get to the 200 meters, like, oh, I can sprint. And you're like, wait, no, it takes way longer to finish this. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where that's when you cramp hard too, right? After an effort like this. I mean, it's been a long, so basically an hour and 10 minutes in the saddle, but more than 40 minutes of it has been on this climb. It's no joke.
Yeah, no joke at all, and huge effort. We are seeing lots of chatter coming on through from everybody in chat saying great performance. It isn't at these kind of. It's interesting to me. Cycling is so interesting to me in this respect. It's like we like to watch the suffering on the climbs. We like to watch this. It is slow motion, but at the same time, it's like there's so much on the line when you get into these longer climbs. When you get into these pure suffering efforts, it really goes to show what kind of performance an athlete can put on the line, because that any kind of move can be the winning move. So always exciting to see. It's always so interesting as well.
Yeah.
With how that works here. Yates now going to take down the win. Claire does get across the line first, but will not be in the results as she's not registered. Lieberman Shoop here now looking for the last little bit she can eke out at this 10% gradient. And then Lithgow here trying to hold off Coates for Socks for Watts, trying to chase it down, though, it looks like. Is this going to be...
There's a battle there. Yeah, you can see that we've got, I'm not sure, the Aeonian rider and the live rider, Janie, there are sitting together. That's going to be about for 7th place, I believe.
Yeah, there is a battle for 7th. That's a great shout out there. Aeonian A15, is that going to be a rider who's around, I want to say, perhaps a 15-year-old rider, though? Is that why A15 is in the name? I'll have to double check here real quick. Yeah. It will be Ariel Verhanen. Is that going to be right? Riding for the Union team.
There you go, Nathan. You are good at what you do. I think you just nailed it. Verhanen is the rider here, an American.
Riding a mountain bike in the. I'm like, now, see, there's a rider after my own heart. I'm like,
yeah.
As her drop on a Norco. Big drop, it looks like, too. Loving to see that. Close it down, though, as it looks like Jenny here from the Live. I want to say that's going to be from Live by Cycling Fierce. Live by Cycling here. Jenny Holm here out of Denmark. Going to start walking away, though, from the mountain biker.
The notoriously mountainous Denmark, right? So it's so bizarre how some of the best climbers in the world come from Holland or Denmark. It's always amazing. So this is going to be Liz Lieberman.
Because it's cold. It's just they know how to suffer. They just know how to suffer.
Riding in the wind, too. Yeah, right. That's a very good point. So let's watch Lithgow come across the line now. Fearless rider.
Yeah, Lithgow going to be making this happen here. We're going to bring in results, and I know everybody's going to be waiting for those as the B category is getting across the line. That battle is over, it looks like. A little ways behind us. It is going to be 7 seconds going out to Janie there from Denmark for Live by Cycling. Now Lithgow from Fearless, though, taking down 4th place. The podium is decided. Koetsker for Socks for Watts. Then it's going to be a Smith for Sport Velo. And Janie A15 here that is coming across the line next. Ariel Verhanen. And then Erlen Swan battling with, it looks like, Hugberg. Battle here with Lena from Team SZ. That's not over yet. There's some space yet to make something happen here for a top 10, it looks like.
Yeah, and every spot matters, no doubt about it. You've been racing this hard. You want to make sure that you close this out and leave your best out on course. Great job by all of the riders here in our B category. Nathan, I have to admit, I am on pins and needles as we wait and see what's going to happen with the team scoring for the Champagne Series, the Women's Empowerment Series. There's Nikki Cranmer we've been talking about today. Congratulations, Nikki, on a great run that your team is on. Awesome racing. Just love being able to watch these women on these broadcasts. So do we, Nikki. No doubt about it. This is the best racing that we've seen all year that these women have been putting on for us.
Yeah, no, we are also a little bit of, I can learn so much about my team and others. And so also watching out for the competition is probably what's going on there as well to make sure that
Nikki doesn't miss a beat.
No, she doesn't. She does not. Very competitive. Coming from her own cycling career and then into managing a team at the top level. And also really, if you haven't been watching, we've been following along with Chloe Dygert, obviously, and her recovery. And it looks like she's back home and doing well on her recovery. So that's really great to see as well from the 2020 team after the crash at Worlds. Janie here now, Live by Cycling. Coming across the line there, 7th is going to be then for 8th. And then the battle here, I think, for 9th and 10th is pretty much over as Hugberg was not able to close things down for Team SZ. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the results in the A category as we have finished things up pretty much here, and then we'll jump in with the B category as they finish up as well. It was some solid riding all around. Might be able to bring in some replays as well. But the Champagne Empowerment Series all said and done, except for there are other zones that will be coming in later today that may have a little bit to say on these teams' results overall. But let's go ahead and take a look at the individuals. Dave, take it away.
Great. Antonina Reznikov, congratulations. You are the queen, the Israeli-based rider for 2020, taking the win. What a battle from Monali Keller for silver. Catherine Curie gets the best of Kolchinsky in what was a thrilling race to watch for third and fourth today. Courtney Nelson, another American and 2020 rider, in fifth. Rachel Lieberman punches above her weight for a sixth place today in front of Colombian Natalia Franco in seventh. Then you have the young American racing out of Utah, Charlotte Backus, in eighth. Linda Klein there in ninth, and 10th place today to Morgan Coston. For the Revo team, that's your top 10 in the Champagne Series, fifth race, the final here today on La Reine. So 23K of racing, Reznikov, the best of the best. Mackenzie Yates taking...
Go ahead there, Dave.
Sorry? Oh, great. Mackenzie Yates taking the win in our B category. We just watched her come across the line. Liz Lieberman, Shoop. These are a solid ride for the team today, as well as that's a silver medal. Joey Lithgow in third for the bronze medal. Chantel Koltzer taking fourth. Andy Smith in fifth. Jenny Holm in sixth. Ariel Verhaven in seventh. Carolyn Swan in eighth. And then you've got Lena Hogberg in ninth. That's your top nine there for our we've got riders still out on course, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they're all just coming across the line here, but there's we go.
Nikki Toomer.
Top 10. Nice job to Nikki Toomer making it happen there. Solid result there coming in for her. Now, we do have, it was an amazing race out here today. Great. And, I really want to give a big shout out to WTRL putting together this Women's Empowerment Series. It's been really great to see. Focusing on women's racing. And what's really cool is that this doesn't stop here, as next week, obviously we've been talking about it over and over again. I can't say enough about it because we have men's and women's racing every Monday and Tuesday, Premier League, top level racing, esports, and then all day community racing. We've got the APAC, we've got European, so we got Australian lands down under, we've got the European as well as East and West, and we've got America's East and West throughout the day, all day on Tuesday for community racing and broadcast. That's going to be happening. Now, obviously, tomorrow, though, we've got the SCR race. So, midweek race next week, tomorrow, SCR tomorrow. Make sure not to miss that. We'll be here covering that. And then WTRL team time trial as well on Thursday. And then on top of that, we have the Ride to End ALZ happening on Sunday. So definitely jump into that. Check out that charity stream as well as Ride. So lots going on, Dave. It's nonstop here on Zwift Community Live. We're live.
No kidding.
We're live all the time. We're just live.
It's awesome. I tell you what, too, that Ride to End All's event on Sunday, it's impactful. We've been working on that, setting it up, and Nathan, I know that it has really hit home. So we hope that you can join us, because we're really going to celebrate all of the hard work that's being done there. And the racing, man, the hits don't quit. This has been incredible. This is going to be the greatest fall for esports racing that we've ever seen. I am pumped to have you joining us here on Zwift. So Nathan, another great day today. Thanks.
Yeah, great race. And we'll see you guys tomorrow for SCR. Make sure to sign up, hit those notification bells, and it's going to be a good race. Racing starts at 11:50 Central Time for the women. Start at noon for the men. So we'll be here for some awesome racing for the SCR midweek. And if you haven't signed up already, WTRL TTT sign up closes tomorrow, 1 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. UK. If you have a team ready to go, good job. Good way to get warmed up for the Zwift Racing League, as there is a TTT involved there as well. So hundreds and hundreds of teams signed up for that, as well as ZRL. We'll see you guys tomorrow at SCR. I'm Nathan Garrett, Dave Tolbert, Zwift Community Live. Right on.